Hello again and welcome to Central Cell Online. My name is Nick.
And I'm Charlie, and welcome back to our kitchen.
Yeah, welcome to you guys. If you're streaming in with us this evening, we're pleased to say we're being joined by youth groups from across Aylesbury.
Yeah, hello to you guys who are streaming in. You're so welcome. If you're not with a youth group right now on Zoom, you totally can be. We'd love to invite you to get involved.
Yeah, you can check the description as always and find links to register at Aylesbury Vale Youth for Christ, and they'll hook you up with a lovely youth group that you can hang out with every week, even if you've never been to church before. You'd be most welcome.
The plan for Central Cell Online is to guide you through some stuff in the Bible, and sometimes we'll discuss different topics, a bit like this new relationship series that we've been looking at. We're on to week 3, and our discussion this week is all about flirting, and we're going to hear some thoughts from our good friend Toby. Keep your Bibles handy, because there are going to be some passages we can look at along the way.
Yeah, so the plan for this evening is that there'll be 2 sections to the evening, as there have been the last few weeks. In each section, there'll be a short talk, this time from Toby, and we will then hear some thoughts from some of you guys, the young people across the town, and then we'll give you a chance to discuss them in your youth groups.
Then we'll end our time together with a chance to think through if there's anything we want to change in response to the stuff that we've been thinking about. Yeah.
Great. Well, we're going to start with our icebreaker question, so let's go.
What's the cheesiest chat-up line you've ever heard?
I don't think I've ever actually properly heard anyone use a chat-up line before.
I think that the cheesiest chat-up line I've ever heard is, we're not socks, but I think we make a great pair.
Right, here's one that made me laugh recently.
But my husband did, when we first met, he did do the whole like stretch and arm over the shoulder, which was pretty cheesy.
It's just really funny.
But it must have worked because we're married now, so.
If I could rearrange the alphabet, I would put you and I together.
Yeah, that's probably the cheesiest type thing in flirting that I've ever experienced.
This is terrible.
So we've just been Googling the most cheesiest chat-up lines. And oh my goodness, is there something wrong with my phone? It doesn't have your number in it. These are so bad.
Have you been to the doctors lately? Because I think you're lacking some vitamin me.
Oh, as if like people actually use these things. Are you Australian? Because you meet all of my qualifications. Oh my word. Like, actually, no. Let's put those down. It's too much. No, I don't think I've ever heard anybody.
If I'd said that to you, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Okay, so as we said, Toby is joining us tonight, Toby Townsend. He is the youth worker, the intern at St. Peter's in Quarrendon. Hello to St. Peter's, and I'm sure he'll be a familiar face to some of you as well. He's going to give us some thoughts on flirting. But before we begin, we're going to read from the first passage, which is Philippians 4, verses 8 to 9. And it says this: "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honourable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Keep putting into practice all you learned and received from me, everything you heard from me and saw me doing. Then the God of peace will be with you." Over to Toby.
I want to start off by asking you this question. What is flirting? Now, a basic way of saying this is a behaviour you show towards someone that you're interested in, which is why I'm not going to sit here and say that flirting is a bad thing, because it's a normal part of growing up. It's a healthy part of adolescence. We all do it growing up. And I'm sure we all know someone that is one of those naturally flirty people. And yeah, so the Bible doesn't actually specifically say anything about flirting, but we can apply the issues of the heart. We can use those issues and apply it to flirting, but not only flirting, to all aspects of relationships. The Bible passage in Philippians that we heard earlier is from the letter that Paul wrote to the church in Philippi, which is a city in the Greek island Thassos. And what Paul is trying to do in this letter is point people towards Jesus. Yes, I could have easily not included this point. I think it's such an important point to make that Paul is trying to make, that we should point people towards Jesus. And in doing that, our actions should reflect that. And yes, flirting is something that is fun to do, but it can also be harmful when you aren't actually interested in the person. And it's finding that distinction, because what you may see as kindness, someone may see as flirting. Something that I always think of when I'm in these situations is, what is my intentions with this person? And this has helped me throughout my life. Flirting and relationships in general are a journey, but it does not mean that we should always flirt with people. Andy Stanley said this: "Romance is fueled by exclusivity, not experience." Now, what this means is that it isn't about how many people you flirt with and how much you date. That experience won't help you. It's saying that finding that right person that you connect with, the person that you make laugh, stuff like that. And I love this, and I wish I could have heard this while I was growing up, because I was one of those naturally flirty people, and I wish that I would have focused on myself rather than flirting, because it takes a lot of work to fix your heart. And as in the passage, it says that you should have the right heart. Relationships are such an important thing, whether it's friendship or romantic. God didn't make us to be by ourselves. He made us to be in communities, in relationships with people. And in all relationships, we need to think about, what would Jesus do? And yes, I know this is a cliche phrase, but it is so important to do in all relationships.
Thank you so much, Toby. We're going to hear some more from Toby again later. But firstly, we're going to hear from some of you guys about what you think, and then we'll have a chance for a discussion time in our groups.
Yep, we designed the questions so that the first one is pretty straightforward, the second one a bit more tricky, the third one more tricky again, maybe even feeling like it's impossible. And the only reason we're doing that is just to challenge you guys as you think about this, to think deeply about some of these questions.
Yeah, and if you're watching this live right now and you get into a really good discussion and time is just moving away from you, please just feel free to pause the video and go with what you're talking about and just catch up with us again later.
And don't worry as well about answering all the questions. You don't have to do all three every time. You might just want to do one, focus on one. That's absolutely fine. Your youth leader will just sort out which ones they think are most important for you and sort of change things up a bit as you go along.
Great, so here are some thoughts from you guys, followed by some questions for you to think about yourselves.
Does it matter how we dress? That's a hard question to answer.
I honestly think it is. Because when you meet someone, it's going to be the first thing they see.
How we dress is important.
My quick answer would be it would depend on the intentions behind why you're wearing what you're wearing.
Because if, like, you're going on a date or something, you don't want someone to turn up looking really odd.
And they're going to make a judgment on you based on that. I know not a lot of people are not going to like that, but it's true. That's just how we are.
If it's because it's something that makes you feel confident and comfortable in your own skin, then that's the best reason to be wearing something. So
if you see someone messy, really unkept, you're not going to think highly of them, are you?
You'd like them to look nice, I guess.
I would say no, it doesn't matter if it's coming from that place of making you feel confident and great.
You're going to go to a job interview and you're going to want to look quite nice to give a good impression on the person interviewing you.
Because first impressions matter, so I think, yeah, how we dress is probably quite important.
So, flirting, do we think it's harmless?
Yeah, interesting question. I really like what Toby said, actually, in that, there's nothing in the Bible that talks about flirting, and actually, flirting is really fun. It's part of the process of getting to know somebody, and you need to enjoy that. God wants us to enjoy that experience. So I don't think in and of itself it's a harmful thing, but like with many good things in life, I think it has the potential to be harmful, in that it's
I guess it's about the intentions
it's the
behind it, isn't
intention.
it?
Yeah, you could be leading somebody on, giving the wrong impression, and you could be leaving them in a place of, what's that about? Where am I in this situation? What's your, so yeah, I think it has potential, but
Yeah.
I think there's some positive stuff within it. So yeah, nice one, Toby.
Brilliant. Well, we're gonna hear some more from Toby now, but just quickly before we do that, I'm gonna read for you James chapter 3 verses 5 and 6 and verses 9 to 12, which say this: in the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. Jumping to verse 9. Sometimes it praises our Lord and Father, and sometimes it curses those who have been made in the image of God. And so blessing and cursing come pouring out of the same mouth. Surely, my brothers and sisters, this is not right. Does a spring of water bubble out with both fresh water and bitter water? Does a fig tree produce olives, or a grapevine produce figs? No, and you can't draw fresh water from a salty spring. Let's head back over to Toby.
So in this passage from James, it's showing us the power of our words and how important it is to control what comes out of our mouth. Because what we say doesn't only have the potential to harm others, but it has the potential to corrupt our heart. And this has taken the last passage from Philippians a step further, because once you have the right heart, your actions and what you say should reflect that. And this is so important, especially when it comes to flirting. Because yes, flirting is fun, and it's an important part of building a romantic relationship. But what you say while you're flirting can have a massive impact on that relationship. And I'm sure that we have all said something that we shouldn't have to people. And that is so much more common nowadays, that there is social media everywhere, as we can hide behind screens. The fact that nowadays we can flirt with anyone, anywhere in the world, it makes it so much more important that we think about what we are saying and what intentions we have while talking to people. Because as a church, we need to shine the good light on Christianity. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't use social media to talk to people. What I'm saying is that we should think about what we are doing on social media. All throughout the Bible, it talks about how talking to someone can not only affect us, but others. So it is so much more important. And I think in today's age, it is so easy and normal that we are talking to someone in a flirty way, to big yourself up, and occasionally lie about stuff. And I want you to think about this, especially if stuff actually ends up going well with this person. Do you want the relationship that you have started to be based on lies? Because that can really harm a relationship if it is built on lies, as trust is so important in relationships. What I'm trying to say, that when we are flirting with someone, be yourself, no one else, because God made you the way you are. And honestly, some people may not like that, but that's why it's a journey. And to find the right person who likes you for you. The reason I'm saying this is because in the passage, it talks about how kindness and deceit could come out of the same mouth. And I love how they make this ever so clear by saying, does a spring of water bubble out of both fresh water and bitter water? Does a fig tree produce olives? Or a grapevine produce figs? No. And you can't draw fresh water from a salty spring. So finally, I want to make it ever so clear that what we say and what we do while flirting is so important.
What are the boundaries in flirting?
And I think the boundaries for flirting is probably, like, if one or both of you feel uncomfortable, maybe don't go there.
I think flirting can be fun, so it's not like you should never flirt.
Not gonna lie, I am yet to be in a situation where I am flirting to another person. But here's what I think.
But flirting can be harmful, I think, if you're doing it in the wrong way.
I think everyone needs to feel like happy about what's being said or whatever.
I think that flirting is an expression of how you feel about someone.
Yeah.
And so if that's not right, if your flirting isn't telling someone how you feel, if it's just for your benefit, that's probably unfair on the other person.
I think it's all fine, like you do whatever you want, as long as the other person is not uncomfortable with what you're doing and everyone's happy throughout.
So I think if you're flirting because you like someone, great, like that's nice and fun. If you're flirting because you want to get something or just because it's fun and exciting to you, but you have no intention of following through or wanting to be in a relationship with somebody, that could be really unfair, and cause a lot of hurt. So
Like, as long as you don't want to seem really annoying just to make the other person dislike you, find you unattractive.
Yeah, I suppose just being careful with flirting and making sure that you're not doing it just for you.
Welcome back, guys. There were some great questions there. I hope you had a really good time thinking about some of those.
So now we're moving into our second to last bit. So this is where you've got a little bit of time in your groups to think of one thing in this week that you might take up, give up, or change up in response to some of the stuff you've been thinking about in your groups.
Yeah, sure. And the reason we do this is so that after reading our Bibles together and thinking through some of these themes, reflecting on those things can be a really helpful way to get the most out of this session. It's only for about 4 minutes or so. But is there anything you might want to do differently in your life as a response to the discussions tonight? Well, now's your chance to have a think about that. Off we go. Brilliant. Guys, welcome back. I hope you found that useful. So the last thing we do is always finish with a chance to pray together in our youth groups, and this is something we do every Central Cell. If you don't normally pray, don't worry. You don't have to. Your youth leader will be there guiding you through the whole thing. But if you'd like to try praying, please do.
Yeah, we'd love that. That'd be great. We've actually given 10 minutes for this slot. I know that sounds like a really long time, but it does go quickly, especially, if you've really got in the zone, if you're chatting through some stuff, praying. So don't feel like you have to stop if the timer runs out. Just ignore us. Stay with what you're doing. Pretend we're not here. We want to invite you to spend a bit of time praying, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, see you in a sec.
So that's the end of our session this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We've really enjoyed having you, and thanks so much to Toby for his talks, and to the rest of you for answering the questions who are involved in the video today.
And if you're watching this stream live on your own and you'd like to hook in with a local youth group, just go to our website. The links are in the description below for you to register, and we'll put you in touch with one of the youth groups.
As ever as well, if you'd like to help us by filming responses to some questions, regardless of whether you go to a church or not, we would really love that. We'd really value that. So just get in touch with us, get in touch with Aylesbury for Christ, get in touch with the youth leader, and they'll do the rest.
Yeah, thank you for that. That would be great. And next week we are on to our fourth session, our fourth F. They've all started with an F, haven't they?
Yeah.
And next week is
very deliberate.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you to Lydia. She came up with all of that. She Broughton's youth leader. So yes, our fourth F, we are on to fire, which is all about intimacy and sex. So we'll see you then for more discussions about relationships. Thanks for coming. See ya.